Snowpack in the inland Northwest is the lowest it's been in almost a decade, but that's not the whole story when it comes to how it impacts all of us. How long the snowpack lasts into spring is just as important. In tonight's special report, meteorologist Matt Gray goes into the mountains to unpack the snowpack and reveal how climate change is changing our water supply.
We show you a lot of information about how the snowpack is doing on television, but if you've ever wondered where it all comes from, it starts at a place like this, out here in the middle of nowhere with a weather station deep in the snow.
But right now, the snow isn't that deep at all. Snowpack across the inland Northwest is close to record lows. This snow measuring station, several miles north of Wallace, Idaho, is one of the few stations in the inland Northwest that's reading close to normal. It's one reason why Cody Brown and I are here. Cody works for the Idaho Snow Survey. It's part of his job to go out and confirm the measurements from these weather stations by hand. But first, he has to get there. Even in a mild winter, this is not the easiest place to get to. Eventually, we run out of trail and have to snowshoe the rest of the way in. Sitting at around 4,000 feet, snow will keep falling here for a few more weeks before the warmth of spring starts the melting process. Higher up the mountain, the snow can stay put into July. But that's only if the weather cooperates. Spring heat waves like we saw in 2023 can melt down even a big snowpack fast.
At the end of April, snowpack was actually above to near normal. And then as soon as May hit, May 1st, temperatures increased by about 10 degrees higher than normal. And that trend pretty much was throughout that month. And then the snowpack essentially melted out 2 weeks early.
The same thing happened in 2021, a series of heat waves that ended in the most extreme one of all, the record-setting heat dome. Luke Reyes is a PhD student at Washington State University. After the heat dome, he went to study how the snowpack responded and found something he didn't expect.
We're like, oh, that's interesting that there's this, seems to be a little pattern here that there are these rapid snowmelt events. And in 2021, they were associated with the heat dome, but also these other really short-term heat waves earlier in the spring.
Reyes found that over the last 30 years, these spring heat waves are happening more often, and they're happening even at the highest elevations.
Where the snowpack we would expect to persist a little bit longer, but it's still being undercut by these heat waves, and they come regardless of whether it's El Niño or La Niña or anywhere in between.
And this year, it's El Niño that we're dealing with. It's the strongest one since 2015, which also happens to be the year of the record lowest snowpack for now. If spring heat returns with snow like this, the results could be historic.
But in lower snowpacks, like kind of what we're experiencing this season, if that same thing happens, I mean, who knows how early that snow can melt out. It could be up to a month early with the current snowpack conditions.
That means our mountains could be barren as early as the end of May. It means the potential for more growth of grasses and brush that fuel wildfires and create smoky air. It means less water in our lakes and rivers in the driest months of the year. It means the possibility of an early start to water restrictions, and this may only be the beginning. According to Luke Reyes' research, snowpack in the Northwest is on pace to melt out about 1 week earlier every 30 years. It may take 100 years for the snowpack melting in May to become a normal thing, but the journey to get there will see more years like 2015 was and like 2024 could become. Cody and I finished up our measurements as the snow continues to fall, just as it will continue to do each winter for centuries to come. The only thing that will change is our expectations of how much. In Shoshone County, Matt Gray, 4 News Now.
All right, Matt Gray is back from that hike in the mountains. And Matt, if there's one big takeaway from doing the story, what is it?
Just how shocking some of these spring heat waves are. Looking up some of our local snow sites like we saw there for this story. One example was Schweitzer. So they have a station there. It's about 6,000 feet or so. So it's pretty high up in the mountains for our area. And to see, for example, in 2021, in early May, where it's 70 degrees, think about if you had a snowstorm up your house and then it was 70 degrees the next day. Think about how much snow would melt out. And so that's what's happening. It's just a few days in the spring that get really warm that's melting the majority of this snow. So it can be very, very narrow margins when it comes to how long that snowpack will last.
Okay, really interesting stuff. Thank you.